When your cat suddenly locks onto a pitch-black corner in the middle of the night, do you actually know what they're trying to say? You might assume they're just acting crazy, chasing ghosts, or being weird. But behind that intense midnight stare or sudden erratic sprint, there's something much deeper most people miss. It's actually one of the most intimate, vulnerable things your cat can do. And if you ignore it, which most owners do, you might miss exactly what they're trying to tell you and accidentally push away their deepest instincts to protect you. Let's start with what staring into the dark really means. 1. The invisible world beyond the shadows. You're lying in bed, the lights are completely off, and your cat is staring intensely at what looks like a totally blank wall. You probably assume they're just daydreaming, acting aloof, or maybe even hallucinating. Here's what's actually happening. Cats can literally see a spectrum of light that is entirely invisible to the human eye. While human lenses block ultraviolet light, a cat's eyes are built to let UV light flood in. They aren't staring at nothing. They are tracking glowing trails of organic matter, invisible dust patterns, or the microscopic movements of insects that light up like neon signs in their vision. This isn't just about them having a neat biological trick. It's about how they secure your shared territory. While you see a dark, scary room, your cat is actively mapping an invisible landscape to ensure your environment is safe. Think about that for a second. Evolution designed their eyes for solitary night hunting, but inside your home, they are using these ancient tools to patrol the perimeter for both of you. They are taking on the burden of watching the unseen world, so you can rest peacefully. They view you as their family, and your shared space as a sanctuary that requires constant, invisible vigilance. And by the way, if your cat ever suddenly wakes up from a dead sleep and stares at the ceiling, don't brush it off. We'll get to what that really means at the end. So, the next time your cat locks eyes on a dark corner, remember they are doing the work you physically cannot do. 2. The ultrasonic symphony in your walls. Have you ever seen your cat's ears suddenly swivel like satellite dishes at 3 a.m., even when the house is completely dead silent to you? You probably think they're just twitching in their sleep or reacting to the wind outside. Here's what's actually happening. Your house isn't quiet at all. A 2015 study published by animal cognition researchers on mammalian hearing found that cats can detect ultrasonic frequencies up to 64,000 hertz. For context, human hearing taps out at around 20,000 hertz. They are listening to an entire ultrasonic symphony, the high-pitched friction of an insect's wings, a mouse moving behind the drywall, or the subtle shifting of the house settling. But this goes beyond just having good ears. Because you are deaf to these high frequencies, your cat naturally assumes the role of the acoustic sentinel. They realize you are oblivious to these micro sounds. Think about that for a second. In the wild, failing to hear an approaching threat in the dark means death. In your modern home, they apply that exact same life or death focus to guarding the family unit. What this reveals is that your cat views you as a slightly defenseless, sensory-blind member of their colony who desperately needs auditory protection. Here's what most people don't realize. They are bearing the cognitive load of guarding the environment because they know you can't. 3. Tasting the invisible threats. Sometimes in the dead of night, your cat might make a very strange face. Their mouth slightly open, lips curled back, staring into the dark. It looks silly, and you probably think they just smelled something gross like a dirty sock or the litter box. Here's what's actually happening. In the middle of the night, when the house cools down, the way scents travel changes. Your cat is using their vomeronasal organ, also known as Jacobson's organ, located at the roof of their mouth. They aren't just smelling. They are literally tasting the pheromones and chemical shifts in the night air through a process called the Flehmen response. They are doing a perimeter check of their territory without moving a single muscle. More importantly, they are pulling your unique chemical signature out of the air. They are claiming you all over again in the dark, ensuring your scent hasn't been disturbed by an outsider. Think about that for a second. To a cat, scent is identity and territory combined. By continuously tasting the air for your presence, they are chemically reassuring themselves that their most prized companion is safe and exactly where they belong. They view you as the anchor of their territory. And here's where it gets even more powerful. And hey, if this makes sense to you, hit like and subscribe. It helps us reach more cat lovers who actually want to understand what their cat is really saying. For the nighttime guard shift, you wake up at 4 a.m. and feel a heavy weight at the foot of your bed. Your cat is sitting perfectly upright, facing away from you, staring out into the dark hallway. It feels a bit eerie, and you assume they're just impatient and waiting for their morning breakfast. Here's what's actually happening. This behavior is a direct echo of their wild ancestors and kittenhood. Cats are crepuscular, meaning their energy peaks at dawn and dusk. But in the wild, the dead of night is when a colony or a litter of kittens is most vulnerable to larger predators. By positioning themselves between you and the only exit to the room, your cat is officially working the night shift. They're using their advanced night vision and ultrasonic hearing to monitor the hallway so you don't have to. Think about that for a second. What makes this even more meaningful is a maternal and familial connection. In a wild colony, members take turns watching over the vulnerable ones who are sleeping. When your cat sits facing the door, they are treating you like a cherished, vulnerable kitten. They stay alert in the dark because they love you enough to sacrifice their own deep rest to guarantee yours. So, the next time they sit at the foot of your bed, remember you are being guarded by a tiny lion. 5. Hearing the microscopic rhythms of your body. Let's say your cat walks right up to your face in the middle of the night while you're trying to sleep and just sits there inches away, listening and watching you in the dark. You probably think they're just being annoying, demanding attention, or plotting against you. Here's what's actually happening. Your cat isn't just listening to the ambient sounds of the room. They are actively listening to you. Research into feline acoustic perception shows that a cat's hearing is so finely tuned they can detect microscopic biological sounds. When the ambient noise of the daytime disappears, your cat can actually hear the rhythm of your breathing and the physical beating of your heart. They are syncing their nocturnal resting periods to your specific biological rhythms. They don't do this with strangers. Think about that for a second. For an animal that relies on environmental awareness to survive, choosing to focus all their sensory power on the sound of your heartbeat is the ultimate act of surrender. This is where most owners get it wrong. They push the cat away, thinking it's bad behavior. But your cat is actively using their superhuman hearing to monitor your vitals and find comfort in your life force. They view your steady heartbeat as the ultimate signal that their world is safe and at peace. 6. The ultimate revelation, the sudden awakening. Remember earlier when I said to pay attention if your cat suddenly wakes up from a dead sleep and stares at the ceiling? This is what I was talking about. You might assume they just had a bad dream, a random muscle spasm, or a sudden burst of crazy energy. Here's what's actually happening. When a cat is in deep REM sleep, they are completely vulnerable. If they suddenly snap awake and stare into void, their highly tuned senses have detected a micro shift in the environment, a sudden drop in barometric pressure, a microscopic sound in the attic, or a vibration through the floorboards. But here's the ultimate revelation that shows exactly how much they love you. Watch what they do next. When they wake up startled in the dark, their first instinct isn't to run under the bed or flee. Instead, they look at you, check your location, or immediately move closer to your body. Think about that for a second. In the face of a perceived unseen threat in the middle of the night, their natural survival instinct of flight is entirely overridden by their devotion to you. They prioritize your survival over their own safety. They view you as a bonded partner, and when danger might be lurking in the shadows, their deepest emotional instinct is to stand their ground right next to you. So, when your cat suddenly stares into a pitch-black corner at 2 a.m. or sprints across the room to check the hallway, do you actually know what they're trying to say? It's not just erratic, weird behavior or them being annoying in the middle of the night. That's not a simple quirk. That's deep trust, evolutionary protection, and absolute devotion. They are using every superhuman sense they have to keep your shared world safe while you are vulnerable. And that simple behavior of staring into the dark, it was never small to them, and it shouldn't be small to you either.